The best camera you have is often the one that you have with you, but have you ever applied this to your mobile phone? We are often walking around with our mobile phones in our pockets. They are an incredible technological advancement to the society. What am I talking about?
Ali, just relax.
I haven't done this for 2 weeks. It's lockdown here in the UK and I've only spoken to Sam and my family and his family for the last 2 months. That's about it. I'm practiced. The best camera you have is often the one that you have with you. You've heard this saying before, but have you ever applied it to your mobile phone? You have always got your mobile on you in your pocket, and within that tiny little camera and small sensor, there is the possibility to create some quite cinematic moments. Today, I'm going to share with you all my tips for getting cinematic moments out of your mobile phone. So I would give this bit of advice to anyone that's going out to capture anything, whether that's on a mobile phone or a camera. You just need to pre-produce and think about the story you want to capture before you even go out the front door. For this particular video, I actually started off with a song in mind that I really wanted to use for the edits. So I had that song in mind and I actually put that into my Premiere Pro timeline and started to think about the pacing and the shot list and how I wanted the story to reveal itself with this bit of music. So you have a story in mind and maybe a shot list. I then focused on the equipment that I was using to create this story, and for this occasion all it was my phone and an anamorphic lens. I actually went and did quite a bit of research into the best way to film something with your mobile device. There's a lot of apps, there's settings, there's advice online, and I really went to town and did a bit of research. So I downloaded an app called Filmic Pro, and unfortunately it was around £15 to download, but for good reasons. In this app, you can pretty much control your iPhone like you would control the manual settings in a camera. You can change anything from your shutter speed to your ISO to your aperture, and you can also change the frames per second. And I really wanted to shoot in 24 frames a second because that's the most cinematic look. Within the app, you can actually change the aspect ratio settings and the output depending on what size anamorphic lens you have. So you just go into the app and you can change that and you can get a lovely preview of that beautiful widescreen kind of stretched look. In the app, you can also switch on your zebra exposure settings and histogram, which I used a few times when we were filming down on the beach and there was quite harsh lights and I couldn't see the screen properly and I couldn't determine what the exposure was. But also there is the focus peaking settings, and you can change that to a red colour so you can see what's in focus and what's not. So during the shoot, I had the anamorphic lens on the iPhone case throughout, and it was amazing to see some of the characteristics of an anamorphic lens coming through. You can see in the edit that get these lovely long streaks of light flares that come across the image. You can see it a few times when I've got direct sunlight coming straight down the lens, and that's really what makes these lenses quite desirable for filmmakers. If you have seen the film, you'll notice that I've shot quite a lot of golden light, and the scene at the end is of a bonfire on the beach. And to get these kind of shots, I knew that I would need to nail the exposure and get the shutter speed correct. Another great thing about this app, but also using an iPhone in general, is that you can quickly review your footage at the touch of a few buttons and you can see how the sequence might work. You can make amendments, you can reshoot quite quickly, and that was one of the quite fun parts of it. All I had was my phone in my hand with the lens and the case strapped on, and it was actually really, really nice not to have a huge amount of equipment, especially when you're on the beach and it gets a bit fussy and messy. So that was actually one of the most positive things about doing this project. So there's obviously the classic rules and composition ideas that you can apply to creating a sequence. It's essential that I got my wide shots, my close-up and my details in order to build up on the story. But with the iPhone and the anamorphic lens, I had to have quite an open mind with what I was trying to achieve, because in general you're kind of shooting on a wide angle lens that's pretty sharp. I kept the camera very still and static for quite a lot of the shots, mostly because I was holding the iPhone in my hand and a lot of shake came from that. I wanted them to be able to breathe through the shots, but when you're literally holding an iPhone, there is a lot of shake. So I kept quite a lot of static shots in there, which I like, adds to the mood. It's quite slow edits. This is where the fun part really began for me. I really wanted to push the footage in terms of colour and sound effects and overall mood and feeling. As you can probably see from the edits, I did heavily rely on nostalgic film matte textures and grain and the matte box and the colours to really make the footage pop. I did quite a heavy colour grade on it to make it as stylistic as possible. At the end of the day, you were filming on an iPhone that doesn't have the huge colour space, the capability to shoot in log, and the dynamic range and the detail, like all these things that a modern DSLR camera or a cine camera can bring to an edit. So really consider that. At the end of the day, again, it is more about the story, and that's really important. If you've got a good story and a good subject, people will forget and be forgiving for the footage. So just remember that and concentrate on that. Another thing to think about is that I wasn't recording any audio when I was shooting. There was obviously the iPhone recording some audio, but I wasn't intentionally trying to capture those environments because I knew that I would probably heavily rely on sound effects in the edit. There are ways to improve the quality of audio in your iPhone, and I just didn't dabble with that for this at all because I knew that it was going to be fairly mute with my voiceover and use of sound effects. It'd be great to know what you guys thought about the film. Please comment below and let me know. It was really fun to make. If you are an aspiring filmmaker that wants to be able to shoot an idea or a story for literally no cost at all, the cost of an app and a small lens, and you want to use your iPhone to come up with a few test shots, to experiment with an actor or a subject or idea or an environment or lighting, you can use your phone for that, and that's really where the value comes to me. It's a small movie making machine in your pocket, and you could experiment with this at no cost, and then down the line, if you really want to go make your beautiful feature short film using the biggest rig possible, you can, and you've already done the dirty work and you've got to sorted out the compositions that you want. So that would be my kind of takeaway. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.